a podcast to honor the gods.
This better come with a sacrifice.
Dave X Media.
Welcome to the restricted section. I'm your host, Christina. We have arrived at Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. Joining us today is my friend Haley. Say hello to the listeners, Haley.
Hello, listeners. I'm Haley.
Haley, tag yourself. If you had to be one of the three things, are you more half? Are you more blood? Or are you like more prince? Tag yourself. Half blood or prince?
Are we talking like artist formerly known as? Or like...
It's completely up to your interpretation.
All right, Prince. Fuck it,
yourself.
Prince.
Okay. Also joining us today is my friend Andrew. Say hello to the listeners, Andrew.
Hi, everyone.
Tag yourself. Are you half blood or prince?
I don't feel like there's a good answer here.
Well,
I'm going to, you know what? I like the finer things. I'll go prince. If by finer, I mean terribly tacky, but to my liking.
okay. And also joining us is Mary Clay. So say hello to the listeners, Mary Clay.
Hello to the listeners, Mary Clay. Oh my God, aren't I so funny?
Tag yourself. Half blood or prince?
Definitely blood.
That tracks.
I was gonna say blood also. I'm thinking of the blood of the covenant being thicker than the water of the womb.
Cool.
There you go.
Blood.
I'm just thinking of working in fast food for years and years and years. No blood. No blood.
I'm thinking about how if I was a waterbender, I could probably be a bloodbender if I needed to. I would only bend my own blood to clear the period out faster.
Oh, that's using your noodle. Yeah.
An ethical bloodbender.
I'm just saying I'm not against some, torture. That's all I'm saying. It's the right scenario. You push me far. Now, some days that's not going to be very far. You cut me off in traffic. Boom.
Okay. So that's quite enough out of you. This episode comes out on July 12th, just so you guys know.
Whoa. I know that's only like, what,
now.
2 weeks away?
That is 4 full weeks away.
Oh.
That is a month
dare
from now.
you.
I record. Look at me. I record early now. I record real early. Watch someone try to reschedule on me. You can't escape. You're coming on the show, bitch. I got a month. Let's reschedule.
Here's the thing. I have recently, like in the last week, I don't know what it is, I have gotten my estimates of like what day it is and like what time of year it is. Not extremely wrong, but like pretty wrong consistently. Like I like several days ago, I was like, yeah, well, we're almost halfway through June. And someone was like, it's June 5th. And I was like, are you sure?
Not only was that several days ago, but that was 9 days ago.
And then I also almost texted some friends, hey, what are you doing for Memorial Day weekend? Which was a month ago or 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago.
Wait, you texted somebody else that?
Yeah, like I was about to text friends and say like, hey, what are you doing Memorial Day weekend? Thinking, oh yeah, it's coming up soon.
You're thinking of Juneteenth.
No, I wasn't. I was thinking of Memorial Day weekend.
I want to hear, Haley, one good thing that's happened to you recently. I think that we ended Order of the Phoenix on a bit of a sour note, and I just want to lighten things up a little bit before we head into Half-Blood Prince. So what's one good thing that's happened to you recently?
I recently got involved with my local Buy Nothing group.
Yes, I've seen you there.
Yeah, we're in the same one. I'm
like, yes, somebody take this dope wall art.
I've finally started using it. I've managed to offload a couple of my various items. No. I was making room for the inheritance.
Oh.
I'm a knick-knack person from a family of knick-knack people.
She's like a knick-knack person with kind of a small apartment, guys, and it is full. You know how when you go into the vintage shop with like your purse and your ass and you're just trying to like get around?
It's just like too much.
And it's just too much and you have to go outside. That's what Haley's apartment is like.
You're not wrong.
Sit down or get out.
Okay, look, there is more floor space since the last time you were here, I will say.
There simply couldn't have been less. But that's because last time I was there, I was helping you move, and I can't wait to come look at it maybe in the next couple days.
Yeah.
Back porch drink.
Yes, let's do
You
it.
technically have like a stoop porch.
I mean, it's outside, but like downstairs, but yes.
We can open a window and sit where you're sitting right now.
Yay! But so I've been getting involved with that group, and I picked up a set of like a friendship bracelet kit.
Oh my god, I saw those! That's amazing!
So like I've been wanting to like try macrame for a while, and I think I learned from you, Tina, that friendship bracelets are basically mini macrame, so I was like...
It's the same thing.
I was never...
That's why you've been friendshipping?
I mean, yes.
That's really cute. I have a friendship bracelet how-to book, and I have embroidery floss if you need any, because I only have the ugly colors left, so you can practice on.
Oh my god, I would actually love that, because I've bought a significant amount of embroidery floss since getting this thing.
We're like the Buy Nothing group happening live on the air.
It's so fun! Like, I was never good at friendship bracelets as a kid, and I always wanted to be, and I could never get my hands on thread to, like, practice to get better, and you know what? I'm 31,
yes.
and I have resources now, and it's happening!
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
So cool. I was the bitch. I know how to braid, I know how to do fancy braids, and I know how to make friendship bracelets. You know what I mean? I'm like, that's my skill set. That's my main skill set.
Like, I would get maybe, like, a few rows in, and then just, like... Get lost in the sauce and zone out and like fuck up a row and then like not be able to like untangle. Like I wouldn't be able to pick the threads apart and they would turn into a knot and that would be the last of my thread and no one else would have any thread and my mother was not going to take me to the craft store.
That's enough out of you. We're talking about something nice. Okay, well that's a really good thing.
Thank you.
That's happened to you recently. Mary Clay, what's one good thing that's happened to you recently?
I don't
Mary
remember
Clay,
what I did yesterday
is
the problem. I've literally only been playing Tears of the Kingdom.
I feel you on that. I've had to make rules. I've had to make rules for myself about when I play Tears of the Kingdom.
I have no rules. So I'm like, I don't know what else I have done.
That could be a good thing that happened to you.
I'm looking around my apartment. I had to have bought something recently, right?
We went to see Hades Town.
Yeah, we went to see. Great, thank you, Tina.
You can use that one.
We went to see Hades Town. The national tour. Date. Christina made friends with the people next to us. It was very embarrassing for me.
No, because you have to understand that when we were sitting down, she asked me about my Lord of the Rings tattoo.
Yeah, so but you didn't have to then be like, oh, she has a podcast.
I told them about her podcast.
It was very like, it was hardcore mom energy.
Weren't we talking just a few minutes ago about how Tina is Mr. Peanut Butter from BoJack Horseman? All I'm thinking now is like you two at the theater together, like, what? Mary Clay from that's what I'm talking about. Is this a crossover episode?
It totally is. Oh my god. And
I also want to be clear that I will always sit in the seat that is, if you have to sit next to someone, I always sit in that seat because it's just always easier for me than whoever I'm with. I did it yesterday for Sean at the movies. I'll always sit in that seat. And you better be fucking cool when I befriend the people sitting next to us.
Well, anyway, we saw Hades Town and I had been wanting to see it for a while. So I'm really glad that we saw it and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was great.
They have a very effective, if you know the story of Orpheus and Eurydice, I won't give anything away, but they had a very effective like ending to it. Like it was gut-wrenching.
It was gut-wrenching. I'd never heard the story before. Like I missed that one. I feel like Charlie is like
I know nothing about Greek mythology, but I know this one apparently.
We were sitting there and I was like, I don't know this myth. And we were like, Charlie, we need Charlie to be like, in case you mythed it. And then during, not halftime, what's it called?
Intermission.
I walked out and I was like, I fucking mythed it. I mythed it. And I sat down and I looked up the plot of the
Yeah, she
myth.
came back in and like, and sat next to me and goes, did you know that one is Hermes? And I was like, yeah, because he introduced himself as Hermes in the beginning. There's a whole song where he's like, and I'm Hermes.
No, he does not say I'm Hermes. Okay, I have this poison in my brain where I can no longer hear without subtitles.
I do. I also share that as well. I was probably only, and it's hard with music as well, with like songs, definitely. So
yeah,
I share that as well.
With songs conveying all the information.
Yeah, and it was full. I didn't know that about it. That it's like Hamilton and how it's completely sung through. I was not expecting that, but I enjoyed the vibes. I thought it was good. And then also like on a similar note, I watched the Tony Awards this past Sunday, which in high school and college, I was always big on like the Tony Awards were my night. I loved it. And I hadn't watched them in a while. The awards were unscripted this year because of the writer's strike. And so I was like, well, I got to tune in and see this.
Oh my God. I probably would have tuned in too if I had known that.
Yeah. And I think they did a pretty good job of like dealing with it. It was really nice. Cool. And all of the performances were amazing. 2 non-binary actors won for, I think it was leading and featured actor in a musical. So that's the first time that's ever happened. And it was amazing.
That's
great. In particular, I think the highlight performance of the evening was the Sweeney Todd number. And I know like, I've never seen
the Josh Groban.
Yeah, Josh Groban is in it, and also one of the little kids from Stranger Things.
Are they really that
I think
little?
It's
or
Gatton.
Are they like 17?
They're
17 now.
They're actually 47.
But
it's pronounced Gaston.
Well, and also confusingly, he starred on Broadway when he was younger, when he was a smaller boy as Gavroche. So
Gavroche. I remember in high school we had to get a middle schooler to play Gavroche. We were like, whoa.
Anyway, so I've had a good time of enjoying musicals, which I haven't like gotten into in a while, and I feel like it's like renewed the interest of mine that I think now I'll like look up more of like what's going on and listen to more albums, and yeah.
Cool. I love that for you. Andrew, what's one good thing that's happened to you recently?
I got to perform a wedding. That's always fun.
Oh, yeah. Our friends Drew and Rachel got married.
Yeah. That's always a very fun time. So
yeah. It was actually an extraordinarily good wedding. They got married the day before on a boat, and then they had a big party the next day.
That's
so nobody
the way
had to
to do
sit
it.
through anything. And then like they're both like really family oriented. So all their families got to come, and it was like just for them. Oh, sorry, I stole your good thing that happened recently,
No,
but it was quite good for everyone.
No, it was very fun, and it's always it always feels really good when someone asks you to do that. So it was a great time. Much enjoyment was had by all.
Man, that night was so good. Haley and I got on a fucking trolley to a bar downtown, holding a what's it called? A paper mache. Wait, what's it called? A piñata of the bride and groom. But I think that was the body of one and the head of the other one.
Yes.
Yeah. And we took a trolley downtown to this bar, and it was crazy.
Yeah.
Haley, that's crazier than we've gotten lately.
It definitely was.
I told a guy that I was friends with in college how much I had a crush on him in college, and he just looked at me and was like, that would have been so cool to hear 10 years ago. And I was like, sorry. So sorry.
It was a good night. People laughed, people cried. None of us recognized each other on sight because we're so used to looking like garbage all the time.
Oh my God, I did that. No, I did do that. One of my friends said hi to me, and I was like, hey, have we met? And she was like, it's me. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. It is technically dark in here, and I have never seen you dressed up so much before. But I literally recognize you now.
And I'm sorry, Courtney, as well. I am also sorry.
Did you not recognize Courtney?
I didn't recognize Courtney at first.
It did take me a second.
Kidding me?
What? I don't usually see her in a dress or heels or bright colors.
Thank you.
Oh my God, she wears a lot of dresses. She loves.
You know what? That's a compliment to clean up so good that people don't recognize you.
Or do you look like so much shit usually? I'm just kidding. One good thing that's happened to me recently is I got a bonus at my day job.
Woohoo!
And a raise.
Yay! More money.
Yeah, more money is great. I'm 8 months into like my new, in quotes, day job, and it's just a good situation.
Yeah.
My company also is like really, really like, I think I don't know how like ethical they are in terms of sustainability, but they take care of their people. We have like a thriving like pride group. I know there's like a leadership for like people of color group. Like they really, and like for Pride Month, they had like 6 or 7 different activities and like a book club, and it's just, it's good.
Nice.
I'm appreciating my fucking job. Is that really the good thing that happened to me recently?
You're not allowed to do that.
Who are you?
No, that's so people forget that like one, it's okay to have a job that's like
I do this for the money.
supporting you, you know?
Yeah, this is for the money.
Like people like
if it wasn't for the money, I would podcast about Harry Potter all day long.
If you appreciate the restricted section, you should be thankful for Tina's job.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so let's start talking about Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince.
woo!
Mary Clay, very first thoughts, Half-Blood Prince, the book. Let's not talk about the movie for now. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Which one?
I think I'll give it a thumbs up. I think this was, if I'm recalling correctly, this was the first book I read before the movie came out. Does that make sense, what I just said? And so I think I enjoyed it. Yeah.
Okay. Andrew, thumbs up,
remember.
thumbs down.
I'm just gonna go positive for once in my life. I'm gonna go thumbs up and then hopefully not regret that.
Haley, thumbs up, thumbs down.
As an exercise in self-trust, I am going to give myself a tentative thumbs up.
Okay. What do you mean? What can you explain to yourself? Why is this an exercise in trust?
When the book first came out, like I've only read this one like a couple times. But like when this one first came out, I remember being underwhelmed at the time. And then like years later, like I think during college or after college, I just happened to be rereading the series, and I reread book 6 like for the first time in a long time, if not ever, and realized like, okay, this is better than I remembered. I enjoyed this more than I remembered enjoying it last time. So as an exercise in trusting my own memory, which is usually pretty reliable, I am going to say I'll probably have more fun than I'm expecting to have.
Okay. I'm going to give it a righteous thumbs up. I actually am starting to think that Half-Blood Prince is my favorite book in the series. I read this maybe like 6 months ago, and especially after Order of the Phoenix, dude, like I just enjoyed every fucking second of it. So this is like actually a double thumbs up for me. For me, this is a really fun book, and I'm excited to jump into it. I know that reading it slowly and like picking stuff apart like is gonna like
we're gonna make fun of it. We're gonna critique it.
Yeah. I'm ready to critique it where it needs to be critiqued, but I think it's a fun book, so I'm excited. When's the last time you guys read this, and like how many times have you guys read this? Because I've read it probably 5 times, and like I said, last time I read it was 6 months ago.
It's like 2 to 3 for me.
Times, yeah. And when did you read it last?
It would have been 8 to 10 years ago.
Okay. Andrew, Mary Clay?
It's
We're all. I want to point out we're all making the same expression with our mouth
like
open and our eye. We're
face.
all going like.
Well, because like I'm trying to
Very
figure out,
concentrated thought.
yeah, because like
It's not like that cool of a question that we
No,
should. Like,
we
waste
just
time
are all
on it.
dumb
I
and
wanna
have
say-
bad memories.
it was a lot, but like I used to pick up the last like 6 and 7 especially. I would just pick them up at random points and just like start reading when I was younger, right? Like this, I would just read it whenever.
Yeah.
So like I have I couldn't even possibly begin to try and tell you the number of times that I've read it. The last time I did is I probably listened to the audiobook a couple years ago.
Okay.
Something like that. Yeah.
Cool. Mary Clay, do you know? Were you on the path?
I've probably read it, I don't know, 3 to 4 times.
Nice.
And probably the last time I read it was in high school. So like,
Okay.
yeah,
while ago.
10, at least 10 plus years ago, because like 3 days ago was my 10-year 10 years ago, on this day 10 years ago, you graduated high school.
They call that a 10-year reunion.
Or anniversary.
Well, we didn't reunite anywhere, so
Reunite.
there was no reunion.
Okay, I do want to point out that Half-Blood Prince is only about 30 chapters, and by about, I mean
That
on
sounds
the
a
dot.
lot.
No, listen, Order of the Phoenix and Deathly Hallows are both 37 or 38 chapters. And chapters are not like a good metric for measuring books, because you can have a chapter that's like blank Twilight, or you can have a chapter that's like 30 pages. But the pages in these books tend to be about 20 to 25 pages. The chapters in these books tend to be 20 to 25 pages. And like, this is just objectively a tighter story than what is surrounding it.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it's more of a standalone.
Yeah.
I think it might not necessarily be like a lot shorter. Like it's still like a lengthy book.
I think it is about maybe 150, 200 pages shorter.
But
maybe like 150.
I feel like it reads really fast.
Yeah.
Like I
I'd agree with that.
You know, I'll obviously like I'll remember as we start reading it throughout the next year, but I don't remember there being really any big like slow dragging points where it's like, okay, we're spending 5 chapters
just
leaving the
wait till we read it
castle to go
slowly.
to the Ministry of Magic.
I agree with you that it's quicker, but just wait till we read it slowly. I'm sure we'll be.
I know. I'm sure there will be a chapter all about Harry in detention.
But this does move faster. Like, it does take like, we totally understand our world now, and we're just really trying to get a lot of plot stuff out of the way so that Dumbledore can die and we can like move on into the finale. Yeah, we do spoilers on this one.
I know, but it hurts. It hurts.
So let's start by talking about some of the stuff that our friends on Discord have said, because Discord people get to be part of our episodes, and I'm very grateful to them.
I logged on for this episode and said, what are we talking about? And Christina said, don't worry, Discord will tell us.
Yep. If you too want to help me write some episodes, you can be a part of our Discord for as little as $1 a month. Patreon in the show notes.
Just $1 a month? Whoa.
Just $1 a month.
Whoa.
That's a quarter a week. That's like if you go to Aldi once a week and then forget to get your quarter back every time.
It's not that hard.
It just sounds
Okay,
to
so
me
our
like you
first-
don't put your shopping cart back and are trying to justify it. And I'm just not okay with that. So.
I do put my shopping cart back because I need my quarter.
At Lidl, you don't have to use a quarter. They just do this crazy thing where they let you use the shopping cart without taking anything hostage.
I think most grocery stores do use that model.
I know. But
People
comparably.
who don't live near us are like, what the fuck are they talking
Without taking anything hostage. I just like that in regards to a shopping trip.
Because you're not paying for it because you technically get it back. But yeah.
Bring back the shopping cart or George Washington is toast.
Okay.
Because he's on the quarter.
Guys, I have to read some. We have
I mean,
to
do
talk
you?
about
We can sit here
something.
and do this forever.
Okay, so the first one is from Charlie.
Hi,
So
Charlie.
you know it's going to be good. Hi, Charlie. Love you. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Those were all on the cheek and only after asking you first. Charlie says, what do y'all think about how this book mirrors Chamber of Secrets with the Tom Riddle backstory and Half-Blood Prince mystery mirroring the Heir of Slytherin mystery? Interesting. Snaky boys left and right.
I do remember, like, whenever I first heard about the, like, mirror theory, it's not exactly like a ring. Each book on either ends of the series kind of, like, parallel each other. I do remember having, not, like, my mind blown, but being like, that's really interesting. I don't know if she intended it, if she did that on purpose, but it's interesting.
Well, because they were talking in the Discord, too, about how 3 and 5 are similar.
Mm-hmm. I can't remember in what ways, but they have serious.
They're both serious
involved.
heavy. Yeah.
They're both about Sirius.
They both have
Oh my
a
God,
red herring.
all 7 of these books are about Harry Potter. So they kind of all have stuff in common.
I think there might be something to that theory.
So Charlie said, what do y'all think about this? And then just postulated a theory. And I'm like, there's not much discourse, I guess. Like, good. That's a good theory.
I think that's
Charlie.
cool. Yeah, it's the kind of thing
you phrased
that
it
like
as a question, but like I approve.
yeah, it's the kind of thing that in high school English discussions you could bring up as a point, and your teacher would be like, I love how you're thinking critically about this and you're making these connections, like, way to go, doing the extra mile beyond reading Spark Notes.
You're being very creative.
Yes. Yeah.
No, I hadn't heard that theory before, but I don't disagree. I mean, like, it's like a weird synesthesia thing. I've always associated book 6 and book 2. I don't know if like, the same way that Thursday and October are the same,
Yeah.
Yeah,
they are.
right?
No, Thursday and
What?
November are the same.
Thursday afternoon is November.
It's the energy of the end of the second act, I feel like.
Yeah. Good use of the second act.
Yes. It's like, and now we know so much more, and there's more yet to come.
And like, it does end on that very Empire Strikes Back down note. Like,
What?
oh shit. Han's been frozen in carbonite, and Dumbledore's...
No, Haley, no.
Oh, sorry, I forgot.
Come on.
How have you never seen it?
She is doing.
Can I put
do you
my
even know?
headphones back on?
Put
Yeah,
your
you can.
headphones back on.
You're good.
Haley, have you even heard the announcement?
Hi, I'm
Actually,
starting
I
a
haven't.
Star Wars podcast in which I know nothing about Star Wars. It's
Okay,
called Skywalk
cool.
Before You Run.
All right.
Years.
Okay.
Years of a Lord of the Rings podcast and not being able to spoil anything. And this girl almost screws it up for the first day of the Star Wars one.
The cool thing is, literally so much happens in the world of Star Wars that if spoil one thing, there's like 1 million other things.
I also
Absolutely.
probably
Not
won't
have spoiled.
remember whatever. Also, it's just sounded really weird out of context, so I don't know.
Everything in
Yeah, I don't
Star
know the
Wars does
context.
sound really weird out of context, so you're
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. Like
Oh.
when they punch the bubble butt.
Yeah.
That's
I
fake.
know that jazz music is called jizz.
Yeah, that's That's true.
Is that canon or
it
is
is.
that not
It's
canon?
canon.
But is
Unfortunately.
is
that
that
old
possible?
world canon? Or
Oh,
is
you
it-
have no idea
Okay,
how
stop.
much canon
Nope,
there
stop.
is.
Okay, stop. Okay, stop. Okay, stop. Sam says, do you think that the overall plot of these last 2 books is paced well?
Yes. I think it's also it's like it's hard comparing it coming off of Order of Phoenix because Order of the Phoenix I don't think is paced well.
As individual books, I think they're paced well. I don't think all of the stuff that's like set up and revealed in those 2 books is paced well with the rest of the series.
Yeah, I agree that the books individually are paced well. But if you compare a book, for example, like Deathly Hallows, where so much fucking stuff happens in that book, like really, truly not adult, maybe like 2 adult chapters in that book, and it's like we're in the woods. So it's even better than just being at Hogwarts. But like if you compare a book like that to Order of the Phoenix, where it's just like chapters and chapters of like accoutrements and like side plots and like waiting.
I'd also argue that same thing about Deathly. I think, what book is this? Half-Blood Prince is well-paced. I don't necessarily think Deathly Hallows is well-paced because you spend like the first, I don't know, like 3/4 or first third, 2/3 of the book looking for one of the Horcruxes or looking for the sword. And then like the last third is like just hit after hit after hit after hit. And it's like,
That's kind of how it be though at the finale is like everything starts falling into place really quickly. So, but that was my point though, Mary Clay, is that these books are definitely paced super inconsistently.
Yeah.
Like I don't think there's a good uniformity in how these books are paced. I think that if like the books had increased in size more proportionally, and so Deathly Hallows is the longest one because there's
Yeah.
so much that happens in it. And like you keep Goblet of Fire and Order of the Phoenix a little toiter. I think that probably would have done the series some good and made it feel more uniformly paced.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think part of the reason that like Deathly Hallows does feel so cramped is because like it's not just all of the action that's built into it. It's like like, all of that action on its own could have sustained a book with, like, less shit going on. But, like, the fact that they're trying to squeeze in this whole finale with this, like, very, like, early Harry Potter mystery quest thing, like, it's too much. And I wish that it had been set up more earlier so that Deathly Hallows and the Half-Blood Prince didn't have to feel kind of cramped.
Yeah. Well, and that kind of goes into what Sam said. I feel like the vast majority of the information we need is not revealed early enough pacing-wise. Charlie says it's like the series is waiting for the big Dumbledore revealing info at the end. I think our friend Phil said that she definitely didn't make up most of this plot stuff until this book that we're about to read, like the Horcruxes and whatnot.
Yeah.
So I think that if we'd been able to take the big story stuff, like Deathly Hallows is only big story stuff. And if we can just like stretch that more evenly throughout the book, ditch some bullshit side plots, like ditch the 150 pages that takes us through the fucking World Cup. Like you don't have to cut it conceptually, but it does not need 150 pages. I just think... So no, Sam, I don't think they're paced well.
Well, and I think one of the other things to remember too with a lot of this, like the information that was given and when it was given specifically, is there was so much energy and effort put into figuring out what the fuck could possibly be going on by fans, right? And so there was all these different like threads that are throughout the series that she chooses whether or not to pick up on them. I think a lot of those are just there because she wants something that she can like surprise people with, right? But the problem is that people have been studying these things like they're religious texts for the last...
There's a podcast called Harry Potter and the Sacred Text that does exactly that.
The Game of Thrones effect.
Right. So people start looking for stuff that's so deep that even if you have something that would have been a great, resolution or a great way to do it, you have to throw it out because people have guessed it 42 times on the internet, And so I think there's a lot of...
that also leads to me getting a lot of recycled fan theories, memes, and TikToks sent to me. I appreciate everyone who sends me content, but sometimes this is the 17th time I'm looking at it.
Yeah. Well, and like I said, so I think there's also that to work with is that, one of the things that was a very difficult task to do was to put the answer out there, but not highlight it, right? So like you had to have those threads that you could pull, but... I don't know.
That's why writing books is hard, dude.
Yeah, and maybe leave it to better people.
That's why you can't just write a book in a straight line. Like, that's why you have to, like, get it down first and then go back and start noticing things about it and noticing, like, more connections you can draw and, like, how you can make it, like, tighter and better. And actually, Haley, I'll soon be employing you to do that for me yet again because Haley is one of the best people in the world at being, like, more of this, not as much this.
I love developmental editing. It's so fun!
The last developmental edit, Haley was like, I need you to write more about EDM in this book. And I was like, yeah, I can do that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the movie a little bit.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen that YouTube video where it's the Harry Potter, the Half-Blood Prince, like as if it was like a rom-com?
Yes.
Have you guys seen that?
I don't think so.
Do you want to watch it real quick?
It's so fun. It's really
I feel like
great.
you've probably showed it to me at some point.
It's one of the things that people are like, the power of editing. And they literally, like, all they did was take the trailer. I think at the time it was just the trailer.
I looked this up like a lot of times before.
I've shared this in meetings a lot of times before.
I'm going to share my screen.
Are you now?
And I'm going to share my sound. And I need you guys to tell me if this does not sound good on your end.
Beautiful, isn't it? The moon.
I do hear it.
Divine.
Why is it, when something happens, it is always you three?
Believe me, Professor, I've been asking myself the same question for 6 years.
What about your activities outside the classroom? I can't help wondering...
Oh, no.
This isn't the one I was thinking of.
I was going to say, I don't think this is it.
I mean, I didn't want to
get in that before I realized.
I didn't want to say anything. I was like, I mean, this is like okay.
This is it.
I've got a really good feeling about Hogwarts. I feel it's the place to be tonight. Do you know what I mean?
No.
Enjoying your classes, Harry? What about your activities outside the classroom? I can't help wondering if...
Oh, no. She's brilliant, and we're friends. But no.
What you see before you is a curious little potion.
Hello, darling.
The most powerful love potion in the world.
I'm in love with her. All right, fine. You're in love with her. Have you ever actually met her? No. Can you introduce me? Come on, Harry. We've got a game to win. Excellent.
Excuse me, I have to go and vomit. I happen to be his girlfriend. I happen to be his friend.
These girls, they're going to kill me, Harry.
See that girl over there? She's trying to smuggle you a love potion.
Really?
Hey, she's only interested in you because she thinks you're the chosen one.
But I am the chosen one. Okay, sorry, kidding.
Oh, to be young and to feel love's keen sting.
Great. Thanks for allowing me to share 1.5 of those videos with you. That was so crazy. When I was trying to pull up the video, I accidentally closed out my whole internet. Okay, so the movie. Do you guys like this movie with that in mind?
So this was the first movie that I was seeing having read the books.
Yeah.
And it came out the week that I was on a mission trip with my church. And we always had like one day off each week where like we would go do like an activity or something in the area. And we also tried convincing the chaperones to let a bunch of teenagers drive the church van down a remote mountain in like rural Wise County, Virginia at 11 p.m. at night to go to the midnight premiere. That did not work. But we were
a no on that. A no on that.
That was a no.
Okay.
And I remember at the time being like, "This is so like we all have our driver's license. Why won't they let?" No, that would make sense. Why they're not going to let a van full of teenagers drive themselves. Anyway, and so we went and saw it like during the day as a whole group. And I remember getting in the van afterwards and like ranting with someone about like all the things they got wrong because I was able to like
of course
make those comparisons. But like
of course
now having the distance and knowing what changes were made, I think they got the vibes right. I think, and I also enjoy the aesthetic of it as well.
I would agree about the aesthetic. Yeah, it's like, in terms of aesthetic, I think it's the closest to like the older look, like they
return to the uniform,
right? Like but it's also like the lighting and the way the castle looks and like the sets.
Yeah, it's a bit more like bright and cheerful. Like it's like a brief moment of like not goodness, but like something close compared to the rest of the story.
Yeah, it's like there's stability in there.
There's stability. Like Harry Potter is doing good at potions, and he has a girlfriend.
It's like the most normal high school experience year they
have. Yeah.
There's no insurrection going on.
Yeah, that's something that our friend Phil on Discord said. I do like how book 6 and therefore movie 6 is the slice of life book. Lots of them just going to class and living what passes for a normal life at Hogwarts.
Yeah. There's like some innocence with it too, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like sandwiched between the major events and stuff. Definitely. It's a palate cleanser.
You need. It's a palate cleanser. I always use the metaphor of when you're jerking off trying to masturbate. Mm-hmm. You can't just pump it. Like you have to take a chill for a second. Like you can't just fucking like you have to give it a second, dude, or else like people don't have time to process any of this, you know?
I was not expecting that.
It's true. That's like a lot of things are like that. Like what if the song started with the drop? No, man. No.
Songs can start with choruses, okay? I grew up Catholic. We did that all the time.
I also think this is the movie where we start to see Daniel Radcliffe emerge as Daniel Radcliffe.
Yes.
And
that's exactly right.
We start seeing him, I think, having the confidence to like go a little bit out there or like do a little bit more with his
he's
performance.
Doing more of Sassy Harry in this one.
Listen. I think when Harry Potter took that Felix Felicis and to have the best day of his life, that was also giving Daniel Radcliffe the Felix Felicis to find himself as an actor that day.
Yeah.
I really think that moment, he was like, oh, if you do something that's silly, then it's much more fun. Haley and I we are covering in a couple months, in a mere 3 months, fucking Victor Frankenstein on our Patreon bonus show, The Detention Crew. And we've talked about weird on the bonus show as well, and horns. Like, that motherfucker thrives when he gets to act weird, dude. He was in the movie Weird.
Yeah. I was about to say, what did you just say? Weird, the movie? Because that...
He was weird in that movie.
I loved that. Oh my God.
He's a great actor. Yeah. And I do think that I think like as the burden of like Harry's duty in this story falls upon Harry's shoulders, so does the burden of acting in this series fall upon Daniel's shoulders.
Oh my God.
And they both like they're like, if I fucking die in this process, so be it. But then they both come back stronger and better to lead the life that they wanted to lead the whole time.
Yeah. And also reminder that Daniel Radcliffe, since all of the disaster stuff has happened with You Know Who, he has like come out as a really big ally of the trans community.
He's in no uncertain terms.
He's a good boy.
He's a really good boy. Like, I love him so much. I just do.
Honestly, your comment about the Felix Felicis just makes me think of like the very first time I smoked weed. It was like the day after college classes had ended, like my capstone paper was turned in.
She's a real big nerd, dude. I don't know if we would have been friends in school.
We probably wouldn't have, because I really sucked. And then my friends got me to try weed at the very end of school, because I was like, fuck it, I graduated, like, it can't ruin my life anymore. And
then it ruined her life immediately.
No, then a few hours later, like, as it was wearing off, I was able to just, like, order something online without having a panic attack, which had never happened before, and I was like, that was the moment that I was like, oh, that's not normal. I should go to therapy, and then I went to therapy.
You told me about your ordering things online fear before.
Yeah.
That's very
interesting. In all fairness, we're talking about, like, 2014, when it was still kind of sketchy. Like, it's...
I don't know, man. Amazon...
No, I relate to that, being like, is this a real website? Is it safe to put my credit card information here?
Right.
Is this an actual product that's going to get to me?
Right.
Why
but
did they need two pictures of me naked to deliver this package to me? It's just weird, you know?
It was the copies of my senior project was I had to write a book and then, like, self-publish that book. So I had to buy copies to, like, have them sent to me. So, like, I couldn't not order it. But, yeah, I just got through it without, like, having to check my address 12 times to make sure I wasn't sending it to the wrong place, and, like, without being scared that something was going to be terribly wrong, and, like, I was going to get arrested or something.
From this saga,
is this not normal?
I'm saying the Felix Felicis thing is, that's similar.
Oh, no.
You're like, I can do things now.
Yes.
It helps with your anxiety.
Oh my God, things might turn out all right, actually.
Things might turn out all right. If we're talking about the movie, we simply must talk about
Lavender Brown?
Harry, I was gonna say Harry and Ginny. Like,
the
way that they walk into a room and chemistry disappears from other people who are flirting in the room.
Specifically the scene where they're having like a Christmas party at their house, at the Weasley's house.
Not the shoe thing.
And no, not that. Please. Not that. They're like sitting on the couch, and Ginny comes over with like a little like mini pie thing, like an appetizer, and is like, open up. And she feeds it to him.
Awful.
And then Ron comes in with like a platter full of them and sits in between them on the couch.
Okay. Would you rather?
No.
Would you rather be the server attending to Harry and Cho on their Valentine's Day date? Or would you rather be accidentally already sitting on that couch when Ginny and Harry sat next to you and then Ron came up?
Absolutely already on the couch, because who gives a fuck? There's nothing between them. That's like, I wouldn't, knowing my dumbass, I wouldn't even register that they were in a relationship. Like, or like wanted to be or anything. Because I would just completely
you don't pick up clues very well. I've had you on a couch before. I know how it goes.
That's a callback.
Gotta listen to all the episodes for it to make sense.
I gotta back Andrew on this one. First of all, I would never make it in food service. Second of all, I don't like. If I was in food service, I wouldn't get to be sitting down. Whereas in the other scenario, I'm already sitting down, and I also wouldn't notice. To be on the couch.
No, I would want to be a server because I think it would be hilarious to watch this unfold in front of me.
I think that Valentine's Day is a bad day at work, but this makes it kind of worth it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, it's the kind of thing that as you're watching it happen, you're like, this is so awkward. But like, you go home that night, you hang out with your friends, you're like, y'all, the most hilarious thing happened today at work.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I love when crazy stuff happens at work. That's one thing, working from home. Crazy stuff never happens at work. It just happens at home, and that's not fun.
I have crazy stuff happen, and I work fully remote. You wouldn't believe.
What kinds of stuff?
I'm not going to go into detail here.
Because to me, I've worked like so much retail and food service in my life that it's always like somebody doing something completely wild. You know what I mean? And I don't get to see other people in that regard when you work from home. I'm just like, can you believe there's a dog running around the neighborhood? Yeah, nobody. I tried to catch him. No, absolutely not.
Yeah, no collar either.
Animal control won't come. They said no. More stray dogs.
In this scenario, she's talking to Penny.
I have chased so many fucking loose dogs through my neighborhood, and it always ends with them casually waltzing back into their backyard, so I don't fucking chase them anymore. It just it's happened so many times. It bothers me for 4 hours, and then they just end up safe and fine. They never needed me. All right. One more note about the movie. In the server, Mott said, I really love the chapter where the Death Eaters burned down the burrow. Oh, wait.
I was gonna say what? That's the joke. That's
burn
the joke.
Down the only home we've ever known in the movie on a whim.
It was a choice.
Yeah, I like the aesthetic of the movie. I wouldn't say I enjoy the movie that much.
No, it's really wild and out of line. Our friend Zach over on Belita Binge did a really funny video about this exact discrepancy that I'll put in the show notes. It's a wild thing to just invent for a movie.
It's the kind of thing that I think had I watched movie 6 without reading it, I think I would have really enjoyed it. Just like I think if I had read Prisoner of Azkaban before watching it, I think I would have really hated it. But Prisoner of Azkaban is my favorite of the series. So like it's like that kind of a movie that I think without the book, I think it's a pretty good movie. If you're not
because with no context, it's like, sure, this is what bad guys do. I don't know. But per Zach's video, and it's still funny, even if I'm telling you what the premise is, go watch it. But basically, it's like they added a scene like this where they're like, let's burn down the Weasleys' home because we haven't taken enough from them through this book series. It's like, bitch, they lose so many family members. Like, just let them, they lose one / an ear. But like at the cost of adding this scene is cutting, for example, like a lot of the Horcrux adventure, not
the memory,
the pensive adventures, which add not crucial, but I think like relevant and important backstory, more relevant than burning somebody random's house down. It's like why don't you add back in like the B tier crucial plot points from the book? They only kept the A tier or out. You know when you're doing an outline and it's like it starts over on here on the left side, and then you indent a little bit, and then you indent a little bit more, and then you indent a little bit. Okay, so take the whole book, outline it like that. I did it already. It's in my notes here. I actually have it. But the movie is if you go through only reading like the leftmost bullet points. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I think part of that too is that like notoriously there was very little communication between, anyone involved with the book side versus the movie side. And so I think there's probably a lot of issues with, like, you had to cover everything because you never know what the fuck's going to end up in book 7.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. At this point they would have, because book 7 had been out. Because I read the entire series in, I think, 2008, 2009. And
it was
then
2 years later.
And then like 2010, this
movie came out 2 years after the Deathly Hallows book.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, then, yeah.
So they did know where they were going. Our next thought from the Discord server, Tekenna says, my problem with Tonks and Remus, I guess we were already talking about Tonks and Remus. Tonks and Remus is a problem. There's a significant age difference, and he likely knew her as a child. It's weird. Claire goes on, Remus is 13 years older than Tonks, regardless of her being Sirius's cousin. That is weird because we all know that Sirius and Lupin are in love. And then Phil goes on to say the Lupin-Tonks relationship was basically J.K. Rowling being like, well, they're both minor characters who have already served their narrative purpose, and everyone needs a straight ship, obviously, so we'll throw a romance plot their way to give them something to do for these next 2 books. What do we think about that?
That sounds about like what they did. The age
what Phil said.
Yeah, like that's exactly what it feels like. I mean, there was never any indication before that point in all of Order of the Phoenix, which I do agree is simply too long. They couldn't have set that up even a little bit.
Yeah, like it would have been one sentence of like, Harry noticed that Tonks was looking at Lupin.
Anything.
And blushed or something.
Like, give us as much as you did for Fleur and Bill at the very least.
It's like, may I have a crumb of context?
Yeah. It's just
please?
anything. I do want to point out that like the age difference does not bother me quite so much. My parents had an 11-year age difference. That's just where they were in terms of having their shit together. When in life the age gap happens.
That's the thing is, because as Tekenna said, he likely knew her as a child. 13 years ago, Tonks was like fucking like 13, right?
I was going to say, how old is... So Lupin is in his mid-30s now, right?
Oh,
Claire says Remus is 13 years older than Tonks, and the fact that Claire, who both enjoys math and Harry Potter, laid down a straight up number, I just believe her. I don't need to do any math.
No, but it's like, is Tonks 20 or is she 25? I think that's different.
I think Tonks is, I'm going to give her 23. That feels right to me.
Okay.
That means that he's 36.
It's still, yeah.
And but for the third time, Tekenna pointed out that they met when she was a kid, and it's weird, dude. It's weird if you like come in.
It's weird if you knew.
Role.
No, that's not a parental role though. Like that's an older brother's friend who you haven't seen for a really long time.
Yeah.
Also, wasn't Sirius's family like, kind of estranged from Andromeda's? So like he probably wouldn't have known them, had his friends around them at the time.
Even if they were friends, he's still like, they're good people and they're his friends, but like there's still going to be the prejudices there, right? Like he is still a werewolf, so I would be willing to bet that even with being as good of like, we think of good of people as they are, I don't think she would have seen him very much during those years.
Okay. I still, I sort of still maintain Phil's point that it's just like these two minor characters. I need something to do with them for 2 books.
That is definitely true. Yeah,
I think when she started writing Deathly Hallows when she started writing Half-Blood Prince and knew that Deathly Hallows was coming up, she had ideas in her head of like things that she like minor plot points that she wanted to hit, and I think she knew that she wanted a couple to die to parallel James and Lily. And
yeah, that makes sense.
And I think she was like, I want there to be a couple that dies at the end of this war and leaves behind a baby.
Harry can be the Sirius to that baby.
Yeah, and like I want to hit home that like this is still like what happened to Harry is still happening, 18 years later.
Yeah.
And how sad and tragic that is. And so
it can't be Molly and Arthur. That's a little too sad.
Yeah.
So it's one step less sad.
Exactly.
Well, but we got to give him a baby. So Zach pointed out, not Zach from Cabbages, Zach from Belated Binge. I just didn't like how Tonks went from compelling female badass to emotional basket case out of nowhere.
Yeah. And it's kind of in the book, it's Harry. It's everyone thinking that she's really upset about Sirius's death.
Yeah, which
like she wasn't shown to be very close with either of them.
Yeah,
Maybe
exactly.
she was, but we didn't see it somehow in all 500 odd pages.
It's like grief would be a valid reason for that, but they're kind of like, it is strange though, because I don't think they were that close.
No, they didn't set it up. Like they didn't set up anything for her to grieve or fall in love with.
It's also Harry being like, I think she's grieving because he's grieving. So it's like, okay, but maybe think about like what.
Yeah, I'm sad, so the entire world is sad, right?
I also think that the part in Deathly Hallows where Lupin finds out that Tonks is pregnant and then like leaves her.
We'll have to. I think we need to pause that and come back to it because
we're totally going to come back to it. But I think that plot point of Lupin being sacrificed to the plot serves Harry in feeling like sort of confident in his own conviction. You know, he's like, how fucking dare you leave your kid? Like as an adult, he's like, this is an opinion that I actually really feel and stand by for the first time in my life. How fucking dare you leave your kid when you know how much I desperately wanted to know my father? And I think that's important for Harry. So again, like let's sacrifice Lupin to like the protagonist's character development, basically.
Yeah.
Well, it's also J.K. Rowling servicing herself, right? Because she's also throwing in this element of the father leaving and not being there to help out and trying to like choose this more noble path. It's like, doesn't that parallel her pretty well as well?
What do you mean?
I think she.
How so?
Didn't she like her partner leave her or something like that?
Oh, I don't know. I think she left her part. I think her story is that she had like an abusive partner.
I think she was
left.
as much as there is to say about her. I think she was in a unfortunate situation.
Okay, like I said, I wasn't. I just did not remember if that was the case or not. So
I don't know. Zach goes on to say, at the end of the day, I chalked it up to the recurring theme that romantic plot lines are the weakest point of this series, in my opinion. And I kind of agree with that. Like, I do like Ginny and Harry together, but I reading back Half-Blood Prince, like, there definitely isn't enough time for them to explore anything. And when they're married later, I'm like, oh no. Oh my God, you have to fuck more than one person in your life. I know Ginny has Harry. Come on.
It's okay. You know what?
He's dynamic in their relationship that I don't like.
And that's all he needs in life. You know, he's like, I fought Voldemort. If I only know one pussy in my whole life, I'm willing to live with that.
Zach goes on to say, I don't think people read Harry Potter for the romance.
Yes,
so it's not that consequential.
I think it's a thing of like teenage like these like short little romances is a true to life thing about high schoolers. And when you have all of these high schoolers living together, it's like it's a fun thing to.
It is a fun thing
play with.
Yeah.
I remember being impatient with it as a teenager, but that's just me.
When I was reading Zach's message, I don't think people read Harry Potter for the romance. I was thinking, like, if you wrote Harry Potter and read it for the romance, that's Twilight. That's just Twilight.
Yeah.
Like people, I see what you mean. That like people read Twilight for the romance, and it happens to be like a
it's not a different
fantasy
genre from
adventure
Harry Potter.
story.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So, before we wrap it up, I do want to talk about a couple characters that we either meet or get to know more of in this book that I'm excited about. You guys know who I'm going to talk about first, you know, because I love this bitch and this is her book. Who is it? You tell me.
Fucking Lavender.
Lavender Brown. Love.
Lavender Brown is the protagonist of the Harry Potter series. In this essay, I will outline the ways in which Lavender Brown has been in the background all along. No, I love this bitch so much. Like, I love a dumb bitch. I mostly listen to podcasts that are like dumb bitches giggling. Like, it's not like from me, it doesn't feel like an insult even saying dumb bitch. Like, it's a certain kind of woman that I'm obsessed with. It's like all they have is like their kindness and their hotness. And I'm like, God, that's all you need. That's all you need in this world. I truly feel that way.
I do think that, like, part of what I like about the aesthetic of the movie is that she's a cozy kind of hot. You know?
Yeah. Oh my God, she is British hot, over here.
She's a fluffy sweater kind of cute.
I was watching Ted Lasso with Sean and we were talking about how cute Keely is.
I think you are super hot.
If I'm going to dip my toe back into the lady pool, I can't think of a finer body of water to do it with than you.
No, Keely, I think you're confused.
I was, at first. Then I was like, come on, Keely. Blow off some steam and have some wicked sex with your new friend. I'm fucking with you.
Oh, God, I thought you were being serious. I mean, can you imagine?
Oh, I have.
She is an LA 3 and a UK 10, okay? Like, a London 10. Like, British people, their hotness is just, like, I think not on the same scale, in my personal opinion.
It's cloudy there. They can't see each other clearly. The standards are lower.
It's a different kind of hotness. Like Rose from Doctor Who. So hot, so British.
Well, what about, what's his name? Superman / Geralt.
Henry Cavill.
Geralt?
Yeah.
It's pronounced
Geralt?
Whatever. Who the fuck cares?
Gerald.
That the wolf dude.
That's
Gerald of
what
Rivia.
Liam Hemsworth is slated to take over for Henry Cavill, and people have been calling him Gerald or Gerald. That's it. People have been saying,
Gerald.
"Look, it's Gerald." Everyone.
It's like Walmart brand Gerald of Rivia.
Oh my god!
It's like the great value.
Henry. Oh my god. I need you to move on.
Henry. So
the
do you guys love
new
Lavender
season comes
Brown?
out at the end of the month anyway.
I'm just saying
You guys love
they
Lavender?
have like a hyper level of like 10s. It's only like 3 of them, but they're like 3 British people that are
I think the hot ones are really hot, and then everyone else is like
exactly. They suck up all of the
It's like the classism. No, it's the classism. That's what does it. That's what does it. It's the classism.
I'm pretty sure it's the bulging muscles. And also the fact that he's a massive nerd. Anyway, I think now I'm at a point where I can't separate book Lavender from movie Lavender because movie Lavender
I totally agree.
nailed it. So like she did such a disclaimer that once Lavender Brown had a stake in the games and she became a plot point, they cast her as a white person. And that previously she was like a background character as one of the only black kids in all of Hogwarts.
It's true. They do put a couple black kids in the background. They're like, see, we know.
Yeah, but as soon as she came to the front, they recast. What I can understand being like, oh, she actually we need to
an actual actor.
Like we need someone who can have this personality and hit these points. So I understand the desire to like recast it to be more specific for what you
but it's like any effort. It's like any effort at continuity.
But
exactly. It's literally just whitewashing something that like even within the film universe, it's like you have whitewashed.
So putting that out there, we are aware of it, but the actress who was cast absolutely like knocked it out of the park. She's hilarious.
She's
like,
really funny.
She did such my favorite part in, not to talk too much about the movie again, is when Harry and Ron are on the train going home for Christmas and she comes by and she like fogs up the window of their compartment and then like draws a heart and then like R+L and then like breathes all over it again, and Harry is just sitting. He's like playing with
the train thing,
with the little like fold down tray.
I want to be clear. That the reason I love Lavender Brown is because I was Lavender Brown.
No,
okay. I think we all are aware.
Shock and awe.
Like anything that she does in these books, yes, I did or whatever. I love Lavender so much. I'm really excited to explore her character. I think, okay, so Zach said people don't read Harry Potter for the romance. I would argue that Cho Chang and Harry Potter and Lavender Brown and Ron Weasley, those are not romance. That's not romance, my dude.
Well, they're very high school relationships.
It's
that's what's so great about it.
It's the office of relationships.
It's more comedy than it is like earnest romance.
I think
like it's very funny the whole time.
I think that might be like why I don't enjoy those storylines, because like it is it's cringe humor. And like The Office, and I don't think it causes me like secondhand anxiety the same way The Office does.
Same.
And like,
Oh, I love it.
I mean,
It's
same
so
about
funny.
The Office. I don't necessarily get
Oh,
the
yeah,
same
The Office-
feelings with
The Office
like,
is hard
this
to
kind of a
watch.
plot line.
The Office is hard to watch, but Lavender and Ron, it's not cringy to watch because like they both put themselves in this situation. Like he put himself in this situation. Like how cringy can it be?
Honestly,
like they're just both acting this way, and it so many teenagers do. I did. Like it's
you know, I think it's you were Lavender when you were young. I was a Harry when I was young. I was just sitting there
we wouldn't have been
quietly
friends.
playing with the... No, I would have been dating... I would have been friends with the guy you were dating, playing with the seat
You
tray.
are. You are friends with the guy I'm dating.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And whenever you guys get gross, I just pull out my phone.
Name one time when on earth have Sean and I gotten gross, and you're not allowed to say our wedding day. Name one time.
I was gonna say, I don't think I've ever seen them.
Sean would rather
There have
die
been
than kiss me in
times.
public.
It's when he's done something sweet and you've pointed it out and like yelled it for all the world to hear because you spotted him doing it. That's the kind of shit you do. Yeah. And I politely don't say anything.
Fair, she would also do that if any of us did something nice for her. She would yell it out and be like, "Oh my God, Haley brought me a cake."
I think I do get a little doughy-eyed around Sean. Sometimes you just gaze at him and you're like, what a perfect baby.
Yeah, see, it's when she does shit like this.
What if I call him Sean?
Oh, he would hate that. You should absolutely do it. No, you should do it. He would hate that so much.
Haley, do you remember what we actually call him?
Sean!
Sean. I don't need you if you can actually. We're just making fun of you.
We always need him to fix stuff.
Let's talk now for a little bit about Professor Slughorn. I love this character.
Yeah. Again, another character that I can't separate from the movie.
Nope, can't separate at all.
Because I don't remember the actor's name, but like he did really well. And then
his name is Jim. Shut up. His name is Jim Curry. No,
it's
Jim Cummings. That's
not
Jim
it.
Curry.
That's worse.
It's Jim Broadbent, isn't it?
It's Jim Broadbent. It is Jim Broadbent.
I wouldn't have gotten there without the. But I think
Jim Cummings is a dude.
That's
I'm
it.
sure.
I'm sure there's someone named James Cummings in this
He
world.
has such an iconic entrance.
No. If you Google Jim Curry, it's like, bitch, you meant Tim Curry.
Yeah. Because Slughorn has this like such iconic scene of him transfiguring himself untransfiguring himself from the chair. And I think in the movie they also did a really great job with that like effect. And it's just really memorable, and you feel for him because he made such a terrible mistake in the past, but
but it was like so innocently done, but he feels so badly about it.
Yeah, and like he was just another one of many pawns in Tom Riddle's life, and he didn't know that he was being played. He was just like, oh, this student is just really interested in magic. Let me nurture that interest.
Do you think that that's the only time that his little like cultivating of his like cult? Oh my God. Do you think they have this? I
think they're cognates.
Do you think they're cognates?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it's like gathering.
I'll look that up later.
It's like gathering and are cultivating and cult related words, and I think they are.
No, because cult.
I understand
comes
that.
from occult,
What is the
doesn't it?
question Tina's trying to ask about?
That's another cognate.
I'm trying to ask if they're cognate.
Oh, okay. I thought you were checking them.
No, I forget what I was saying before.
Well, I wonder if you were.
My question. No, my question. I remembered it. Do you think this is the only time that one of his like cult followers basically has betrayed him, has like taken advantage of him in this way?
No.
Not in this way. In any way.
Well, no, because Harry takes advantage of him too.
I think that it does happen pretty regularly, but I also don't think he minds because like anything that people want from him usually is something that he's a guy who's happy to give. Like he's a very natural teacher. He like really does seem to enjoy it. He seems to be good at it.
He likes to see that he's having an effect on other people.
Exactly. And he just like all his only motive is like, I want to be comfy. I just want to be comfy and get, like, good tickets to stuff and the occasional cake.
I have said that Sean, in this book series, is Remus Lupin. I've said that before. But I actually think he's Horace Slughorn.
No. So...
Horace Slughorn is a fucking Taurus, and I will not hear otherwise.
I think we need to talk about the modern day context of something like a slug club in which a teacher collects students who he deems as special or unique and forms a private and exclusive club with just these students.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if you want to hear more about cult-like shit in the Harry Potter fandom, you should, and I'm not joking, sign up for our Patreon. Me and Andrew are actually talking about that in a mere couple months. I think it's in November, actually.
Well, I don't necessarily mean from like a cult standpoint. You're
just saying that it's deeply inappropriate.
Yeah, like it's inappropriate. I mean, like we're lucky that with Slughorn, it turned out it's an innocent thing.
He's just openly playing favorites is all he's doing.
I think that this is very like British private school. Like I think that there is like a society where this is done that we have never been a part of, Mary Clay.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think like in a modern day context, we would be like, this feels like grooming. This feels like grooming.
It feels weird. He's really just trying to, it's almost like if he put a better name on it, like for example, in my high school, we had the Future Business Leaders of America. If you had been like the Future Business Leaders of Hogwarts, that's a totally different club.
Kind of the vibe.
You can do the same thing, but don't call it the Slug Club. That's like I'm making a cult. We're actually going to call it Christianity due to my name.
Brilliant idea. No one's ever done it before.
I think that's how this all started, guys.
Question for the group, based off of the name Slug Club, what would your club name be?
Oh, there's no good options
pickles.
For me.
The Pickles.
No, that has nothing to do with your name. Like, it would have to be, like,
I said
the
Christianity
Con Club,
already.
you know?
I said Christianity.
My last name is an insult and a sign of a sign of affection. It's better than the Simps.
The Simps. I don't know how to say things. The Simps. That's actually what it is. It is the Simps. That's canon now.
God damn it.
We're not allowed to say Andrew's last name as a reminder, so maybe they would just be called the Dandy Andes.
No.
He hates being called Andy. Don't fucking call him Andy, but Dandy Andes is really funny.
That's so cute. I love it. Let's start a new group in the Discord server called the Dandy Andes.
I mean, the Drew crew is literally right there.
That makes more sense.
I prefer
the
mine,
Drew
honestly.
crew, yeah.
But we already know a Drew.
Andrew Bandrew, like there's a lot of
Andrew Bandrew. Nope. The Andrew Bandrew crew.
The Andrew Bandrew crew. See,
the Andrew Band crew.
Oh, there we go. So, are there any other characters that we either get introduced to or get to like really hang out with substantially in Half-Blood Prince? I mean, other than the obvious, like Snape, we learned some things about him, I guess.
I feel like we learned so much more about Dumbledore too. Like, it's a character that
about current Dumbledore.
We've known him for 6 books, but we have never spent this much time with him.
Yeah,
and
totally.
It's really.
It's because we're about to kill him. Yeah. It's because we're about to kill him. You can't kill someone you don't know.
He has so much explaining himself to do.
He really does.
Do y'all? Okay, question. So at the start of Half-Blood, or before the events of Half-Blood Prince, is when he puts on the ring, and it like burns his hand, and Snape is like, "You don't have long to live. You have like a year to live." Do you think had that not happened, would Dumbledore have gone on this like would Dumbledore have taken Harry on these side quests with him if he hadn't had this like motivator?
I don't think he ever would have done a single thing to move the story forward without being absolutely compelled to do so.
I don't know. After the end of the last book, I think he like
it's kind of how I feel.
He might have been, maybe I need an intern.
I think he maybe would have let Harry finish school. At this point, it's only 2 more years. Like, let him finish school. I'll hold off Voldemort because I can, because I'm Dumbledore. And, like, we'll talk about it after that, basically. Maybe. That's the best I'll give him.
What else happens in this book?
Yeah, what else happens in this book? It's not like we get to know Parvati at all, but there's a couple moments where Harry and Parvati are just kind of, like, left behind. And I'm like... Please tell Parvati she looks pretty, Harry. God, do anything.
And this is because that's who he took to the Yule Ball, correct?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yep.
So like he easily could have been like, so gone to any dances since then?
Oh, we also get to meet Cormac McLagan, who's
my
another
God.
very fun character.
Another actor in like such a small role in
the actor crushed it.
The actor again crushed it and was
he's so funny and good. Like, I love Cormac McLagan so much. I love that he is such a douchebag.
Yes.
And he's such an unwilling pawn in like the trio's shenanigans. Like Hermione like confunds him so he doesn't get on the Quidditch team. So her boyfriend does, and then to get back at her boyfriend, invites him to a dance. And it's so fucking funny the way that he's not even a person to Hermione straight up.
Those three are petty as hell.
I think he's just not aware of any of what's going on at all.
Like, it's not often that you meet someone in real life who you just can be mean to and not feel bad.
Yeah, it's real. And some people, it's like, I will be mean to you because you are Cormac McLagan, and I know that you're a certain type of guy, and you're going after a certain thing with me, Hermione Granger, and I'm gonna make you fucking do the runaround. I'm gonna make you do the runaround, and then I'm not gonna give it to you. Like,
she's
fuck you, dude.
so much smarter than him. Like, it's
Truly.
he's utterly disposable. I love it. I love that for her.
It's really great.
I really love it too. I also think that chapter 1 or 2 of this book, we get that really fun, the Unbreakable Vow, that scene with Snape, Narcissa, and Bellatrix. I really love how we get to know Narcissa a little bit before her like character defining moment at the end of Deathly Hallows. Like, Narcissa is someone that I feel so much for, you know? And I think that really shows in this book specifically.
She was like an unexpected, like, she came out of left field. Like, I did not expect her character to, like, ever do, like, I figured she was a trophy wife and she was going to stay a trophy wife, and, like, she was, like, the Melania of this series.
J.K. Rowling does hate women, and so she has before this book, she has only been described as a blonde woman who looks like she's smelling shit.
Yeah.
So it's really cool to get to see a little bit of her personality at the beginning of this book.
Yeah, like, you go from...
It makes you feel for her.
Yeah,
she's so worried about her son.
She goes from, like, the trophy wife, lady with the shit smell face, to, like, a whole-ass character in one chapter.
To the person who the entire ending of Deathly Hallows hinges on.
It hinges on her.
Yeah.
Like a mom just trying to protect her child.
Like,
isn't that what it always... That's a different kind of love magic than we're used to. You know what I mean? Like, what if all moms just loved their babies so much?
It's like it's the magic, it's the wizard equivalent of moms being able to lift an entire car off of their child. That's what it equates to. Doesn't Half-Blood Prince open... It has one chapter with the ministers, and then another chapter.
I was pretending like I didn't know exactly what.
And then another chapter is the Unbreakable Vow, and like then it goes into
Harry Potter was a very special boy.
Which is it's like a huge departure from what we've been doing.
Yeah, it's 2 chapters, and Zach from My Cabbages actually hasn't read books. I think part of book 5 or book 6 or 7. So I actually put him on the first chapter of Half-Blood Prince so that he doesn't have to read to catch up. But I think he'll quite like that one. It's almost a bit slapsticky. The
other minister.
Yeah, the minister's chapter. I think that'll be a lot of fun. And then we have the Wildlings coming on for Spinner's End, which is the Unbreakable Vow chapter.
The minister chapter,
we'll
I think, is
the book.
important in the sense of like, by book 6, you're probably wondering like, what's going on in the real world? Like, does any of this trickle over? Like, what's happening over there, you know?
And then it also does help to explain a lot of what's happened without it being Harry Potter gazing at a newspaper he received 3 days ago in his very special room. Like, it's like, please tell me, like, it's a new perspective. It's the Prime Minister, and it's like, so far in this series, it's like the series.
Yeah, it's like getting a season. You know?
It's
like getting a series recap from John Cleese is what it feels like. Like if John Cleese just walked into your house through your fireplace and was like, "Let me catch you up."
Okay,
Let
Mr.
me tell
Cleese.
you why you're here.
At the Ministry of Silly Walks.
Do we have any other thoughts before we dive into Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince?
I have exactly one thought, which is that my neighbor across the street has her blinds open and I can see her lamp, and it's a good one.
Nice.
Go steal it.
I'm going to.
Post in the neighborhood group and be like, wish. The neighbor, the girl across who lives across from me at blah, blah, blah street. I see the lamp in your window and I really like it. Any chance you're giving it up?
Lamp. That's like, Sean and I get letters that are like, hey, do you want to sell your house? And it's like, no, man, I worked like really hard for this one.
I get notes like that under my windshield wipers sometimes on my car.
What?
Yeah.
Do you want to sell your house?
Your car?
My car, yeah.
Oh, your car?
Yeah.
That's weird. I've never gotten one of those. My car's like, it's too much of a
You have
piece
to
of
have
shit.
a certain level of car.
Well, the note always notes as is, and I feel like that's a backhanded thing.
That's a diss.
Yeah,
That's a diss.
Yeah.
They're going to give you $100 for it.
It never feels good when someone specifies, like, we buy ugly houses, so let us buy your ugly house.
Yeah.
We date ugly girls. No, I'm just kidding. Andrew, do you have any final thoughts? She asks at the beginning of the book. Do you have any final before thoughts about Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince?
Final pre-thoughts?
Final pre-thoughts. But I want everyone to remember that pre-thoughts can still get you pregnant.
At least can spawn ideas. You can get ideas off of just pre-thoughts. It's important to recognize.
Okay, that's crazy. You have to protect yourself.
See, I was trying to make the comparison of like, what is the sexual version of a pre-thought? And I was like, is that foreplay?
It's
and then I was like,
It's
foreplay can get you.
Pre-cum can still get you pregnant.
Okay,
is the joke there.
Anyways, I don't really have any other pre-thoughts. I'm just very excited. I'm going to try and go into this optimistic like everyone
Everybody
else.
gave it
Everyone
a
gave
thumbs
it a
up.
thumbs up, so let's do it.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Let's
I feel the
be
same.
happy. Yeah.
Mary Clay, any final thoughts?
I want to share another funny related story to Half-Blood Prince.
No, it's a related story. We'll tell you if it's funny.
Which is that, no, it's literally about Half-Blood Prince. Maybe not funny,
Okay.
weird,
But
awkward
we'll
of my
fucking tell you
childhood.
Let me tell you this anecdote with very
So
little
I
humor about my childhood.
famously did not read any of the Harry Potter books until they were all out, and that was when I was in like 8th or 9th grade. And when Half-Blood Prince was coming out, the book, I was in 4th grade, and my school was doing like a Half-Blood Prince release party, like in the school library, and invited everyone to make like art and dioramas and posters and like present, and people can show up and talk about their theories. And I, having never read any of the books, made I got like a wooden box and I decorated it like a book, and I put in little shelves and I put scenes in that were ripped directly from like Sorcerer's Stone of like fighting the troll and the plants and all this stuff. And I had it open up, and then a recorder played the Harry Potter theme. And then I narrated my prediction for Half-Blood Prince, which was that Snape is the Half-Blood Prince because he's half good and half evil.
Oh,
is what my 4th grade brain came up with. I think that's what like the party was centered around, was like, who is the Half-Blood Prince? And so I came up and said Snape is the Half-Blood Prince because he is half good and half evil. And so can you imagine my surprise when I read Half-Blood Prince, I don't know, probably like 5 years later, and was like, oh my God, I was right.
So this was a party?
I mean, like it was like a school event.
Oh, did everyone in the school read all of the Harry Potters?
No, it was like an after school thing, and it was just like
Scholastic Book Fair.
I'm sorry, I'm just like recapping. Did you said you made a 3D tiny bookshelf?
So you didn't listen to any of my story. That's okay.
I listened the whole time. It was a book with a bookshelf.
If you walk into Michael's, you'll find like blank wooden boxes that like open and close, and you can paint them. And
there was no book involved.
And so I took the box and I turned it vertical so that it would open like a book. And I painted it and decorated it like a book. And then on the inside, I decorated it like a diorama that had scenes.
With paint? With acrylics?
Like, I mean, with paint. And I had like little miniatures.
This is like a content edit in real time. Like, I need more details about this. Like, scenes in what way? Like, are you saying you cut them out of the book and pasted them in?
I need an emotional reaction.
I remember at the time when I presented the product at the little party thing, feeling like, oh, I went way harder on this than anyone else did, and I misread the vibes. Like, as a fourth grader.
So other people just wrote stuff in there, but you did a whole, like, Lego miniature situation.
I made, like, a little, like a diorama. People were making different stuff, and some people dressed up, and some, like...
Okay, I see.
Various forms of expression.
I think the problem with this story is that it's so unusual that I'm having a hard time understanding. But I get the point of the story, which is good for you for knowing who the Half-Blood Prince is.
Would it make sense if I added the context that this was during the semester that I transferred to the Gifted Center at a different elementary school, and then it was so bad that I made no friends, so I transferred back to my old elementary school for fifth grade.
Not smart enough for the Gifted school.
No, I was smart enough.
No,
not social enough for the Gifted school.
I know exactly what happened.
They didn't like me.
You know why? Because all of those kids are Haleys, and they don't know what to do with us, Mary Clay. We're too loud.
No, they were like, they were all like cool. I don't know how to describe it, but like they were cool and aloof, and it came off as like, now I have the context of like they came off as like rich prep school kids, but it was the Gifted Center of the public elementary school in the county.
That's weird.
I see. My last note about the Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince is that
what I learned in boating school is
that I fucking hate it. No, I'm just kidding.
I was gonna say, that's different from what you opened this episode with.
Honestly, I started thinking about Dumbledore, and that's literally why I said I hate it. It's because I was thinking about Dumbledore's arc.
Dumbledore's story it kind of makes me sad. It just makes me sad.
I have a lot to say about Dumbledore, and we'll get into it more, both on the main feed and the bonus feed. I'm excited for Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. It's a really fun book. I think it takes a lot... It really is like the calm before the storm. I think it's so fucking fun. I'm really excited to do anything that's not Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. I'll never fucking read that book again for at least 10 years.
I'm gonna give you so much shit if you ever read it again.
Oh, yeah.
And that's that. You'll never know because you can't read those books out of the house.
True.
Haley, what are you plugging this week?
You know, I was reminded recently of some books that I fucked with real hard when I was young.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm gonna plug the great illustrated classics.
Yeah, join our Patreon if you want to know why those came up in conversation.
They take famous classic books, and every other page has like a really stunning pen and ink illustration, and they're always like a beautiful hardcover. And they just like simplify the language and the story a little bit.
Beautiful is a really strong word. It's not like the leather-bound Barnes and Noble classics,
No,
but they're like vibrant illustrations.
They
it's
are,
a case bound.
Yeah, they're like 90s beautiful. It's like they're
yeah, they're like watercolor cover image.
It's genuinely like well done illustrations. Like they try to make it, good pen and ink art, and like they're really eye catching, and they're a great way to familiarize young people with famous works of literature, so that when they read them for real later on in life, they're able to more or less follow what's going on.
Yeah, exactly like what I was saying with Hadestown, where it's like sometimes it's good to know what you're walking directly into, and it helps with comprehension. Awesome. Thank you so much, Haley. Mary Clay, where can people find you on the internet?
You can actually, you can no longer find me at all. I've disappeared. I've diminished and gone to the west.
Oh my god.
By the time this episode comes out, I will have done the quote unquote last episode of That's What I'm Talking About. If you missed it, I am ending That's What I'm Talking About. But I will continue to make episodes in the future as things continue to come out. Case in point, I just found out that the release date for this animated War of the Rohirrim movie is April of 2024. So you will at least hear from me then. So it's not a final ending, but I am ending this chapter of That's What I'm Talking About so that I can start a new podcast called Skywalk Before You Run, coming to Deus Ex Media, where I experience Star Wars for the first time. And before anyone asks, I will be watching in release order. Do not at me.
Actually, the machete cut.
So you can follow That's What I'm Talking About on social media at Talking About Pod, and you can also follow Skywalk Before You Run at
It's linked in the show notes.
I don't know. At Skywalk Run Pod. That's it. So you can follow those things. I don't know how much I'll be posting there in the intervening months. Intervening was not the correct word there.
Yes, I think it actually does work.
Okay, great. Yeah, because I won't be starting. I'm taking a bit of a break this summer.
Guys, I forgot I was wearing an apron this whole time.
I thought you were just doing a pinafore thing.
Oh, I thought it was a tank top over or a shirt over another shirt. Or something.
I'm wearing my gym outfit with an apron.
It's very cute. I don't know what you're talking about. Clearly, it's a look because none of us questioned it.
You've been in a pinafore phase.
I would never wear a red floral shirt with a blue and purple floral hairband. I would never do that.
I didn't question any of it.
I assumed it was pink in real life.
Mary Clay, I'm very excited for your new podcast. Tell us, what have you been reading, playing, listening to lately you think the listeners of our pod would enjoy?
I don't know what else I can plug except for Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, because I haven't been doing anything else. I watched, but let's see, by the time this episode will come out, the new season of The Witcher will be out, aka the last season. There's not going to be a season 4 with not Liam Neeson. That would have been amazing. There's no season 4 with Liam Hemsworth. I don't know what you're talking about. So I'll preemptively plug that. What else? Queer Eye. There was a new season that came out that I watched.
I forgot about that.
And then, actually I will plug, it's a Netflix show called Never Have I Ever. And it's like a fun little teenage high school show.
Yeah, it looks cute.
With a little bit more diverse cast than your typical like teenage high school show. So that's always
nice.
An added bonus. It has like a really fun like narrative device. So and I think so, and the season that just came out is the last season, so you can like totally binge it all. It's really fun. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you so much, Andrew. What are you plugging this week?
Well, you mentioned it earlier, but the last thing I really watched. Actually, that's not true. The last thing that I watched was The Extraordinary Attorney Woo. It's absolutely delightful. It's about an autistic lawyer in Korea who like has to kind of navigate the difficulties that come with that. It is just absolutely fantastic.
Was this a show, a movie?
It's a drama. It's a drama. So it's like 16 episodes.
A show. That's a show. We call that a show for America.
Well, it's like 16 parts that are like an hour and a half each. So it's pretty.
It's a regular
pretty
TV
long.
show. It's like what HBO does.
No, a regular TV show is not an hour and a half.
Not at all, and also
unless you're
also
BBC Sherlock.
most American shows aren't written just to be one season. So I mean, it is very different in a lot of ways.
I said it was like HBO, who does regularly do 90-minute episodes, and I will fight you over this.
Yeah. I'm gonna plug The Last of Us, which was.
My name's Christina. You know where to find me. And this week, I'm going to plug the 3 Dark Crowns book series by Kendare Blake. 3 Dark Crowns is a wonderful feminist YA Game of Thrones, basically. It's so fucking fun. I'm on book 3 of 4. It's a series. So the second book is One Dark Throne. The third book is, I don't know, maybe like 2 Dark Reigns. Does that sound right? The titles aren't like my favorite. They're not like the most descriptive. Number 3, 2 Dark Reigns. I got it right. And then book 4 is 5 Dark Fates. I don't know what the 2 Dark Reigns or the 5 Dark Fates is yet. But I'm having a really fun time with this book series. Like I said, feminist, YA, Game of Thrones. That's all you really need to know. Thank you so much, guys, for coming on to talk with me about Half-Blood Prince. I'm actually really excited to get started.
This was fun. I'm excited to remember what happens in this book.
Yeah. A couple months ago, I messaged the Deus Ex Media creators. It was, a couple months ago, like 6 months ago when I was reading this book and taking notes for this podcast, I messaged the creators and I was like, I think it's going to affect the branding of my show that I actually really enjoy Half-Blood Prince. I kind of didn't know that I liked this book. And they were like, hey, man, it'll just be like a fun, ironic thing that you actually like this one. And I'm like, okay, all right, I'll lean into it being like, this is the one book where I have a good time.
Just try and remember her name. That's all you need to worry about.
Who?
Well, we struggle with that.
We struggle to remember her name.
As we've been told.
All right. Surely that's the end of the episode.
Surely you can't be serious.
Yeah, don't call me
I am
Shirley.
serious, and don't call me Shirley.
And don't call me Shirley. It is my pleasure to introduce you to our following presentation, which is a 25-ish minute audio drama called Half Baked, which is written and performed by my good friend Phil. Phil is one of the co-hosts of the podcast The Unsociablists, which I am very excited to be guesting on in the next couple weeks here. If y'all like the energy of what follows this introduction, please check out that podcast. And a huge shout out to Phil for doing this for us. It's so fucking funny. I can't wait for y'all to hear it.
Magician Land Publications presents Hardly Plotted and the Half-Baked Premise, Abridged Edition. Hardly Plotted was a very special... Oh wait, this one starts with old white dudes doing politics. Hello! Wizards are real, but there's no Wizard Hitler. Oh, well, that's good. Oh, my bad. Wizard Hitler is real and doing lots of murder. Oh, bother. I'm in charge now. That last guy will face the fate that happens to all war criminals in positions of power. He'll be forced to quietly retire with pay. Right. Well, with that handled, Hardly Plotted was a very special magical boy who... Oh, blimey, I forgot there's another thing that happens first. Snake, I don't trust you! Well, Dominatrix, your sister does, and so does our master. In that case, prove you're loyal with a magic blood oath! Righto, will do. Oh! Good then. Alright, surely I can do my thing now, yes? Great. Hardly Plotted was a very special magical boy, who was not only special because he was magical, but also because he had been chosen by fate to save the world, which seems to happen a frankly ridiculous amount to teenagers. He was living with his abusive aunt and uncle like he did every summer, but this was necessary due to love magic that absolutely holds up to even the tiniest amount of scrutiny. Thankfully for Hardly, he was about to get to leave, He was being picked up by his dear friend and mentor, who he knew he could trust completely, Professor Doublecross.
Come along, Hardly. I've an errand to run. Oh, you're still not sad about that whole dead godfather thing, right?
Nah, I got over that ages ago. Also, not to be intrusive, but why is one of your hands literally necrotic?
Oh, don't worry about that. Certainly nothing where insight into what's going on could be helpful to you. Now, come help me convince an armchair to be our new professor.
Hardly and Doublecross did just that. The armchair said some creepy things, but by the standards of other people written in Silver Greenhouse, he was a goddamn delight.
Right. Now, let me take you to the one house where you're allowed to be treated like an actual literal child for a few weeks.
Doublecross was talking about the hovel where the Measley family lived. They were very good, very poor people. Hardly, like most wealthy people, truly longed to help them, but knew it was simply impossible. He arrived and met up with his best friend, Wrong. Hey, Wrong, it's good to see you. How are you?
Duh, girls.
Something seems different about you this year. Oh well. At this, Hardly's other best friend, Her, showed up. She wasn't a Measley, but was still living here, as she had long since left her parents for dead. Hello, Hardly. In case you forgot that I'm super smart, I got straight A's on my magician report card. I don't care one bit about that, said Hardly, disinterestedly. He had just seen Wrong's very hot sister, Winme, enter the room. Hi, Hardly. I'm currently unavailable. I'm sure you're just fine with that. Hardly was, in fact, not fine with her being unavailable. Puberty had finally caught up to the boy who didn't die that one time. Anyway, I'm so glad I'm too strong, badass, and empowered to be treated like a prize for some protagonist type. Why, if someone as awesome as me peaked in high school over a guy, that sure would be some misogynist bullshit. At this, Winme stared down the author for several seconds. Meanwhile, Wrong was looking at Her.
Duh, girls.
You said it, mate. After a few weeks of summer shenanigans, the time came for our heroes to prepare for school, so the whole lot went to Slanty Street. While there, they visited the highly successful independent business Wrong's older brothers had started. The store was such a capitalist triumph, it was almost certain they would be wearing turtlenecks for demos of their newest goods within the decade. Or at least one of them would. Wow, the stuff here is really cool. It would take something pretty huge to get me out of this shop. Just then, a blonde boy that Hardly claimed to hate casually walked by the window. What? Why is Dorko Fuckboy out here shopping on the biggest student shopping day of the year? That's clearly suspicious and merits my undivided attention. Hardly snuck off to follow Fuckboy, and found him agreeing to buy something at a creepy shop that only sold dark evil things. He knew Fuckboy's purchase would be his obsession for months to come, and resolved to become Fuckboy's stalker the moment the school year started. Hardly voiced his suspicions, but given how his evidence amounted to, he seemed sneaky, he was not taken seriously. Hardly, you've thought Fuckboy was up to something almost every year we've gone to Pig Boils. Just let it go, said Her resolutely. Yeah, you're right. The very next day, on the train to Pig Boils, Hardly snuck into Fuckboy's compartment by wearing his cloak that made him super extra invisible, except for all the times he was easily detected by other magical objects. Fuckboy was being fawned over by Beardsley Beardkinson, and a couple other Slytherins were listening to him. Oh, I sure do hate that Harry Plotted. I hate him so much. I just want to take his face and smash it up against my face and rub our lips together and maybe put my tongue down his throat. That would teach him. Anyway, I'm up to some top-secret shady stuff. I'm actually working for Lord Scardodeath himself. Aha! Hardly had gotten what he wanted. Now he just needed to sneak out. However, he failed, and you'd think that would lead to a very interesting scene, but it's actually just an excuse for Hardly to be a few minutes late. Honestly, it serves no narrative purpose other than clunky exposition about a side character. Finally, Hardly got to the start of term feast, where Double-Cross always made an opening speech.
This year we have a new teacher, which I know is shocking to literally no one. Welcome this armchair as the new potions master. This frees Professor Snake-Up to teach mystical defensive magic arts.
Harry was crestfallen. MDMA was his favorite thing to do at school, and now he would have to do it with someone he hated, which would absolutely kill the vibe. On the other hand, he was now allowed to continue potions, as the armchair wasn't as much of a hard-ass. He got a loaner book, which had Snake scratched out on the inside cover. I wonder who used to own this book. Oh well, it has loads of cool tricks in it. It's crazy how much better I am at following instructions when I'm not being actively bullied. Hardly was right. In fact, he did so well at following the better instructions that he even beat her in a potion brewing contest, and won some liquid Deus Ex Machina. One day, early in the year, Double-Cross said he wanted Hardly to come alone late at night to take secret classes. Hardly thought perhaps he was going to learn a new spell besides Disarmiamus, but alas, that one would have to keep being his go-to.
Before you take on Scaredodeth, you'll need to know his origin story. It won't really help you fight him, but obviously the author didn't come up with it for nothing,
said Double-Cross verbally. After this lesson, Hardly spent a couple months doing very normal boring stuff like lessons and catch-snitch, which is a stupid sport. The only positive to it is the author hated writing it, and it's fun to picture her spitefully slogging through those chapters. The only other thing going on in Hardly's life was that he was obsessively reading that old potions book, which turned out to also have custom spells in it. Before Hardly knew it, the students were all bundling up for their first trip to the nearby village. The weather was shitty, however, so they didn't stay long. On the way back, one of Hardly's catch-snitch teammates got nearly murdered by a cursed necklace. She was fine, and since she didn't actually die, it was still a pretty good year for Pig Boils in terms of student endangerment. Regardless, Hardly was sure Fuckboy was behind it. As the year went on, Hardly learned more about Wizard Hitler's backstory. Professor Double-Cross, why are you so intent on showing me Scaredodeth's history?
Because, Hardly, it makes him a more compelling villain. Anyway, it's not like this could be perceived as generating sympathy for a Nazi.
At this, Double-Cross stared down the author for several seconds. After this lesson, Hardly went to talk to her and Wrong. Hello, Hardly. I hope you had a good lesson with Double-Cross. Anyway, the armchair wants me at one of his parties, and I need a date.
To girls!
Said Wrong angrily. Oh, there's no need to snap at me, Wrong. Maybe I would have asked you if you weren't acting like such an asshat.
Duh. Girls,
said Wrong sheepishly. A few days later, it was time for the first catch-snitch match of the year. Wrong was very bad at catch-snitch most of the time, because he basically had the perpetual yips. However, since he was also quite dumb, Hardly was easily able to trick him into thinking he'd drunk some of the liquid Deus Ex Machina. With a rare bout of unearned confidence only a straight white guy can manage, Wrong easily played very well, and Golden Red won the match. Wrong had in fact played so well, it seemed he had suddenly acquired some actual social credit, and promptly started hooking up with Purple Hazel. However, Her was annoyed by this, due to her womanly emotions. You're such a jerk, Wrong! Don't you have an ounce of empathy?
Girls.
Fine, whatever, I'm leaving! Wrong didn't seem to notice, as he and Purple were aggressively making out and had moved on to heavy petting.
Girls!
Wrong ejaculated. Over the next few days, Hardly found himself the center of a lot of female attention himself. One girl even tried to get Hardly to eat a roofie cake, but as we all know, it's okay if a woman sexually assaults a man, so the whole thing can be played off for laughs. Shortly before Christmas break, Hardly was doing his weekly snoop on Fuckboy and heard him having a whispered argument with Snake. "You're incredibly stupid, and you're going to screw up. Let me help you. Also, I'll literally die if I don't." "Well, that sounds like a you problem. I'm 16 and grew up rich, so I've never taken a handout before, and I won't take one now. I'm going to do my evil plan all by myself." Hardly suspected more than ever that Fuckboy was up to something evil. He decided to tell Wrong's dad that holiday season, as he would once again be staying with them. Her was probably going to fuck off to who knows where, as we can be certain she wouldn't visit her parents. When the holiday season came, he told Mr. Measley his theory, but was told he was being silly. A few days later, he was paid a personal visit by the new magician minister, Scrimmage.
"Ah, Mr. Plotted, nice to meet you. Well, that last administration sure was terrible with all their fake news, right? Thank goodness I'm in charge now. I want to take a far more progressive stance. We want you to be the poster boy for how the world is totally fine now, and we don't need to worry about the racist supremacists anymore."
Will you actually do anything to stop the rise of these evil people?
"Of course we will. Capitalist governments always prioritize helping the oppressed."
At this, Scrimmage stared down the author for several seconds. Hardly ended up deciding he didn't fancy being a puppet for an ineffectual government and went back to school so he could tell all this to someone he knew he could trust, his good friend and mentor, Professor Doublecross.
"Thank you for bringing this to me. I assure you, there's nothing happening with Mr. Fuckboy, and if there were, I would definitely tell you."
Hardly didn't love this answer, but knew Doublecross would never lie to him or withhold vital information.
"Anyway, it's time I told you why we actually recruited Professor Armchair. You see, Scared to Death has these MacGuffins that keep him from dying, and I'm pretty sure Professor Armchair knows how many of those MacGuffins are out there. I need you to get him to give us a memory of that."
"Can do, Professor Doublecross." Hardly gave a few half-assed attempts at this task, then promptly went back to his true passion, stalking Fuckboy. However, Hardly couldn't find Fuckboy on his magic map that could see through his super magic invisibility cloak. He only saw Fuckboy's bodyguards standing in a corridor that Hardly certainly had no reason to recognize whatsoever. One day, Wrong ate Hardly's roofie cakes, then got poisoned, and before you knew it, he was in the hospital wing. "Sorry about all this, Wrong."
"Girls."
"Oh, I don't have time to worry about how you're losing interest in purple. I'm sure Fuckboy was behind this poison, too. I also need to replace you on the catch snitch team, as sports ball is basically my only other passion." Hardly replaced Wrong with someone who was somehow even more of a jackass, and it went very poorly. But honestly, that has no bearing on the plot. It was just something I felt like addressing. Later, because Hardly couldn't stalk Fuckboy as well as he would like, he sent his slave to do it for him. But he asked politely, which makes him a good slave owner. As the weeks went by, Wrong finally broke up with Purple.
Girls.
"Fine then, go be with her. I know it's what you actually want," Purple exclaimed, using her vocal cords. Hardly also found out that Winme was single again. However, because Hardly had a track record of being terrible at interacting with women, he did nothing about this. Instead, he prepared for his next lesson with Professor Doublecross.
"Hardly, did you get that memory I asked for?"
"Oh, nope, my bad."
"Okay, well, today we're going over the last bit of Scared to Death's backstory that I have, so please do get on that."
"Of course, Professor Doublecross." Hardly left the lesson, and promptly started the incredibly important task of stalking Fuckboy. As it turned out, he was using the magic transforming room that Hardly had discovered last year, and that was the corridor his bodyguards were in. Also, despite them being 17-year-old boys, they were disguising themselves in the bodies of 12-year-old girls who were actual other human beings, but apparently that's not messed up in any way. At this, the narrator stared down the author for several seconds. Moving on, Hardly thought about using his liquid Deus Ex Machina to figure out how to get into the version of the room Fuckboy was using. He asked her about this, who was much cheerier ever since Wrong had dumped Purple. "Oh, that's a terrible idea, Hardly, and it probably wouldn't work anyway. How about you use it to get that memory you need for Double Cross?" "Honestly, that's a stupid idea." "Oh, hang on, I've just figured it out. I'll use the liquid Deus Ex Machina to get that memory I need for Double Cross." Hardly did just that, and within 6 hours the armchair had spilled his secrets. Hardly rushed to Double Cross's office. "I got the memory, Professor."
"Ah, good. Let's see. It seems like Scared to Death had 6 MacGuffins. Yep, that's definitely all of them that there are. Well, you can come with me to find the next one I go for."
Hardly was extremely grateful to his friend and mentor Double Cross, who he knew he could trust implicitly. A few days later, Hardly, using his magic map, finally saw an opportunity to corner Fuckboy in a bathroom. Sadly, all that ended up happening here was that Fuckboy tried to cast a very illegal spell on Hardly. Then Hardly cast a spell on Fuckboy that gutted him like a fish, but was somehow less illegal. Fuckboy pulled through, but Hardly got detentions that would make him miss the last catch-snitch game of the year. Hardly mused on how it was so unfair that he was being forced to do light clerical work as penance for nearly doing a manslaughter. However, when his work was done, he found out that his team had won anyway, and he used the high endorphins at the victory party to start hooking up with Winme. Hardly rode this high to nearly the end of the school year, when he heard news that Fuckboy had completed his plan. However, before he had time to act on that, Double Cross said he was ready to take Hardly to go on that MacGuffin hunt he'd promised. Hardly warned his friends about Fuckboy, and then got ready to head off.
"Well, Hardly, let's get going. We need to explore Scared to Death's old torture cave."
"Well, that sounds awesome! I'm so excited!" Hardly said excitedly. The cave was indeed creepy. Double Cross had to drink some trauma potion, and there was some scary shit involving zombies, but Hardly and Double Cross still got out of there with a locket. Keen readers will see that I didn't specify it was the locket. Ah. Hardly and Double Cross got back to Pigboyle's to find it was under attack. They rushed to the castle, where they were intercepted by Fuckboy. Quickly, Double Cross stunned Hardly under his magic kinda invisible cloak. "Ha! I was the one doing all this evil shit this year!"
"Yes, I know."
Hardly was stunned, and not just literally. How could his trusted friend and mentor have lied to him? I'm gonna kill you now, Double Cross!"
"Fine, do it, coward."
Suddenly, Snake rushed up to find them there. Knowing what he needed to do, Snake promptly killed Double Cross. Yeah, let that sink in. Is your mind blown? Anyway, with Double Cross dead, Hardly could move around again. He got into the castle, which was being invaded by Scared to Death's murder cult. Thankfully, Hardly found that all his friends were fine. With that handled, he proceeded to chase Snake. "You can't beat me, Plotted. I know you are using my spells. That's right, the textbook you've been taking advantage of was mine," Snake exclaimed in an exclamatory manner. Another mind-blowing moment, right? No way you saw that one coming. Anyway, Snake and the other wizard Nazis escaped, and things went back to being pretty chill. With a moment to finally breathe, Hardly saw that the locket was in fact not the correct one, and instead some obscure clue that would be worth at least 4 or 5 chapters of padding in the next book. After Double Cross's funeral, Hardly met up with his friends. "I need to go on a hunt for the MacGuffins next year, so I'm dropping out." "Well, I'm going with you, of course. Otherwise you'd be dead in a week."
"Duh! Girls!"
"I can see there's no arguing with you. Well, I guess all 3 of us are in this together. Oh, also, Winme, consider yourself dumped." And with that, the trio steeled themselves for their most dangerous quest yet. This has been an abridged edition of Hardly Plotted and the Half-Baked Premise.
Dave X Media.